The fluorescent lights of Preston Industries' accounting department hummed overhead as Maya Foster squinted at her computer screen. Numbers blurred before her eyes, and she blinked hard, trying to force her vision to clear. 23 years old and already working 60-hour weeks. Maya had been with the company for just 8 months, but her dedication had caught the attention of her supervisors. Not that it mattered much. Her paycheck barely covered rent for her tiny apartment and the mountain of medical bills that arrived with depressing regularity. "Are you okay?" Diane from the neighboring cubicle leaned over, concern etched across her face. "You look pale." "I'm fine," Maya lied, straightening her posture and ignoring the wave of dizziness that threatened to overwhelm her. "Just didn't sleep well." The truth was far more complicated. For 3 weeks, Maya had been skipping lunches to save money. Her younger sister Lily's hospital treatments had drained what little savings she had, and their parents' insurance had reached its limit months ago. Maya's entry-level salary couldn't possibly cover specialized care for Lily's rare kidney condition, but she'd been trying anyway, picking up extra shifts at a coffee shop on weekends and cutting corners wherever possible. She glanced at her watch. 2 more hours until she could leave. Maya reached into her desk drawer for the granola bar she'd been saving, but her hand trembled so badly she knocked over her water bottle, sending it crashing to the floor. "Sorry," she mumbled, standing quickly to clean up the mess. The sudden movement sent the room spinning, and Maya grabbed the edge of her desk to steady herself. Black spots danced across her vision as the office tilted sideways. "Maya!" Diane's voice sounded distant, as though coming from underwater. The last thing Maya remembered was the cold tile against her cheek and voices shouting around her. James Preston was reviewing quarterly projections when his assistant burst into the conference room, interrupting his meeting with the board of directors. "Mr. Preston, there's been an incident on the 14th floor. An employee collapsed. Paramedics are on their way." At 32, James was the youngest CEO in the company's history, having taken over after his father's retirement 3 years ago. Tall, with dark hair that perpetually fell across his forehead, his serious demeanor and business acumen had earned him respect despite initial skepticism about nepotism. "Please excuse me," he said to the board members, who nodded sympathetically. James had developed a reputation for genuine concern about employee welfare, unlike his father's more detached management style. When he reached the accounting department, a small crowd had gathered. The security team had created space around a young woman lying unconscious on the floor, while Karen from HR was kneeling beside her, checking her pulse. "What happened?" James asked, his voice cutting through the murmurs. "She just collapsed, sir," someone answered. "She's been looking unwell for days, but she kept insisting she was fine." James crouched down beside the unconscious woman, noting her ashen complexion and the dark circles under her eyes. She was breathing, but shallowly. "Does anyone know her name? Her emergency contact?" "Maya Foster." Diane stepped forward. "She started in accounting last summer. I don't know about her emergency contact, but her bag is here." She pointed to a worn messenger bag that had fallen beside Maya's desk. "The paramedics need information," Karen said. "We should check for medical details." James hesitated only briefly before nodding. Privacy concerns were important, but the young woman's health took precedence. Karen carefully opened the bag, searching for identification or medical information. Instead, she pulled out a small white stick, looking at it with confusion before her expression changed to understanding. She quickly tried to put it back, but James had already seen it. "Is that—" he began, his voice trailing off as Karen reluctantly handed him the pregnancy test. 2 pink lines were clearly visible in the result window. The paramedics arrived then, pushing through the gathered employees with a stretcher. James stood, still holding the test as they began assessing Maya's condition. One of them asked about medical history, and Karen mentioned that Maya appeared to be pregnant. As they prepared to transport her, Maya's eyes fluttered open. Her gaze wandered confusedly around the room before landing on James. Recognition flickered across her face, followed by horror as she noticed the pregnancy test in his hand. "My bag," she whispered, trying to sit up. "Please lie still, miss," the paramedic instructed gently. "I need to get to work," Maya insisted weakly. "I can't afford to lose this job. Please." James felt something tighten in his chest at the desperation in her voice. "Your job is secure," he assured her. Focus on your health right now. As the paramedics wheeled her away, James found himself still holding the test. He slipped it back into her bag and instructed Karen to have Maya's belongings sent to the hospital. Something about the young woman's situation troubled him deeply. The worn clothes, the fear in her eyes when she thought she might lose her job, and now this pregnancy test. James returned to his office, the board meeting forgotten. He pulled up Maya's employee file on his computer, scanning through her employment history, performance reviews, and personal information. Maya Foster, 23, exceptional performance ratings despite being new to the company. No disciplinary issues. Minimal sick days taken, even though she was entitled to more. Her emergency contact was listed as Lily Foster, a sister perhaps. For reasons he couldn't fully articulate, James felt compelled to understand more about Maya's situation. It had been 2 years since Catherine's death, and he had immersed himself in work to escape the crushing grief. In that time he had become somewhat detached from the human elements of running a company, but seeing Maya collapse, the fear in her eyes, stirred something long dormant within him. James picked up his phone. "Ellen, please clear my schedule for the rest of the day, and find out which hospital they've taken Maya Foster to." Word count, 1,026 words. Wait, I need to continue to reach 1,000 to 300 to 1,400 words for this block. As James drove to St. Michael's Hospital, memories of his late wife Catherine flooded back. The sterile hospital corridors, the antiseptic smell, the hushed voices of medical staff. It all brought him back to those final devastating months. Catherine had been diagnosed with an aggressive form of leukemia just 1 year into their marriage. The disease had taken her quickly, leaving James with a hollowness that no amount of business success could fill. He hadn't set foot in a hospital since her funeral. Yet here he was, parking his Tesla in the visitor's lot, drawn by concern for an employee he barely knew. James took a deep breath before entering the building, pushing past the wave of anxiety that threatened to overwhelm him. At the reception desk, he identified himself and asked about Maya Foster. "Are you family?" the receptionist asked. "No, I'm her employer. She collapsed at work." "I'm sorry, sir, but we can only share information with family members." James was about to argue when a young doctor approached. "Mr. Preston, I'm Dr. Sharma. We spoke on the phone earlier about Ms. Foster." James had almost forgotten that his assistant had called ahead. Being the CEO of one of the city's largest employers occasionally had its advantages. "How is she?" James asked. "Stable, Doctor," Sharma replied. "Ms. Foster is suffering from dehydration and malnutrition. Has she mentioned any financial difficulties?" James shook his head. "I don't know her personally. She works in our accounting department." "I see. Well, based on what we're seeing and what she's told us, Ms. Foster has been skipping meals and working excessive hours. She mentioned something about medical bills for her sister." James frowned. "Her sister?" "Yes, apparently her younger sister has a serious kidney condition. Ms. Foster has been trying to help cover the costs." Dr. Sharma hesitated. "She was quite distressed about missing work. She mentioned several times that she needs her job." "Her job isn't in jeopardy," James assured him. "Can I see her?" "Briefly. She needs rest." Dr. Sharma led him through the corridors to a small room where Maya lay in a hospital bed, an IV drip attached to her arm. She appeared to be sleeping. James stood awkwardly at the doorway, suddenly uncertain why he had come. What did he hope to accomplish? He wasn't family, he was her boss, someone she probably only knew from company-wide emails and the occasional photograph in the annual report. As he turned to leave, Maya's eyes opened. "Mr. Preston." Her voice was small, confused. She tried to sit up, wincing slightly. "Please don't get up," he said quickly. "I just wanted to check that you're all right." Maya's face flushed with embarrassment. "I'm so sorry about what happened. I've never fainted at work before. I promise it won't happen again." "That's not—" James stepped closer to the bed. "You don't need to apologize. I'm concerned about you." Maya looked down at her hands, twisting the thin hospital blanket between her fingers. "Did they tell you why I collapsed?" "The doctor mentioned dehydration and malnutrition," James replied carefully, not wanting to mention the pregnancy test unless she brought it up first. A tear slipped down Maya's cheek. "I can't afford to lose this job, Mr. Preston. My sister, she needs specialized treatments, and our parents' insurance won't cover anymore. I'm all she has." The raw vulnerability in her voice struck James deeply. For the first time in 2 years, he felt something break through the carefully constructed walls around his heart, genuine concern for someone else's pain. "Maya," he said gently, "your job is secure. But your health matters too. You can't help your sister if you're hospitalized yourself."